Zenyatta is one of the strongest characters in Overwatch, and he always has been. He has a unique blend of healing and damage, with his ult being the strongest healing ability in the game, and his Discord Orb being arguably the most powerful damage amplifying ability. Zen is one of the 2 supports to not have a movement ability, yet he's still good enough and has enough carry potential to justify getting picked in most games. But what if I told you that Zenyatta is a fraud? His whole persona, his job, his character is a hoax. Zenyatta is not a monk. He is not wise. He has tricked us all, and I am here to cancel him. First, it's important to understand Zenyatta's story. As we can see from his bio, I don't speak Italian. As we can see here from his bio, Zen is a virtuous figure, helping those who he comes across in his travels to overcome their personal discord to achieve inner harmony, like an Uncle Iroh type figure. Before Zen came around, a group of Omnics split off from their pre-programmed path, retreating to the Himalayas to form a group called the Shambali Monks, where they eventually established the Shambali Monastery, which we see in Overwatch 2. These monks believed that they should be treated equally to humans, and like humans, they had a soul that made them just as valuable, which was a controversial opinion after the Omnic War. Eventually, Mandata came to be the leader of this group, but unfortunately was assassinated by Widowmaker at King's Row. But they made this statue of him where you can teleport Bastion up to, so I guess he's still giving back to the Omnics in some way. It was around this time when Zen first discovered Mandata's teachings, and after meeting an already established monk, Ramatra, at a pro-Omnic protest, he was on the right track, and Ramatra even noted that he had great spiritual potential. So Zen quit his job collecting payments at a laser tag arena, and after briefly exploring each other's bodies, Zen and Ramatra went to the Shambali Monastery, where Zen began teaching Genji, who was looking for healing after Hanzo almost killed him the first time. We'll get into his teachings a little later, but after Genji left, Zen felt that the Shambali path was not effective. He left the monastery behind, instead seeking interpersonal connection as a way to heal and impact others. He began wandering the world. He probably walked to Suioahdsuoah, which is impressive, and probably how he developed the ability to float. And there, he met Symmetra, convincing her and the Vishkar Corporation not to demolish a statue of an important Shambali figure. I think it's important to explore his time as a mentor to Genji before exploring the real-life parallels Zen's story has. First, we can see Genji's change through Zen's interactions with Hanzo.
Each day I grow stronger, yet the man in the mirror never appears to change.
A mirror reflects only what can be seen.
Your platitudes will not work on me the way they did my brother.
And yet, you sound just like he did.
Hanzo is an unreliable narrator, as he tried to kill his brother at least twice, but I think we can trust him on this. So I'll say that Genji did actually change to both accept himself in his new body and to become more spiritual. And we can compare that to Hanzo, who is highly abrasive to Zenyatta's teaching. In their in-game interactions, Zen mentions an awakening to Genji, alluding to his connection to the Iris.
My memories from before the awakening are blurry, like a fading dream. But I do remember some things.
What is the Iris? Well, great question. It's sort of the god of the Shambali religion, an entity that sees humans and machines as equals, and by embracing the Iris, Omnics and humans alike can reach a higher state of being, at least in theory. This is when it becomes important to look at the connections between this story and real life. In Buddhism, the goal of meditation, and in turn, Nirvana, is to break free of the cycle of rebirth, known as samsara, to escape the prison of being corrupted by desire, as Pasaura Dantamano says in his interview with Mind Stories. We know that the monks at Shambali draw heavy inspiration from Buddhists, using meditation to attain enlightenment, or awakening as they call it, inhabiting a similar region and even wearing the same clothes. We also know that Zenyatta is tapped into the Iris through his ultimate, which at least seems to have roots in Buddhism. Yet we also know that Zenyatta has not taken the proper steps to achieve this enlightenment and be blessed by the Iris, at least from the Buddhist perspective. We can see this through the eightfold path that the Buddha taught, and we know that Zen is at least knowledgeable of this because he has 8 balls and 8 hands in Transcendence. Zenyatta follows almost none of these 8 paths, especially not the first, which is right speech. This is seen through his interactions with Genji and Reinhardt.
What did you do, before the crisis?
I served coffee. I collected payments at a laser tag arena. I was a lifeguard. At a water park, I drove a tractor.
Is that true?
He won't tell me either.
I can see the explanation that he's just a silly guy, but when are you gonna serious, buddy? Let's see some real wise quotes and then you can make jokes. Many monks say that, quote, without a commitment to truth, there is no Buddhist path. And although Zen is not technically a Buddhist, his faith and appearance at least very heavily rooted in Buddhist tradition, making his violation of the first path indicative of his fraudulent monk status. He also violates the third path, as we can see in his other interaction with Genji.
Master, how do you maintain your tranquility amid endless battles?
I focus on my breathing.
But you don't breathe.
The third path, right livelihood, says that one should avoid a career that involves the killing or harm of others. Zenyatta is literally a traveling mercenary. Though we see in real life, Shaolin monks who practice Chan Buddhism do at least engage in what is called Shaolin Kung Fu, which is a very important part of their culture. So assuming that Shambali monks blend together different sects of Buddhism, this could be ignored, if Zenyatta didn't clearly represent the Eightfold Path, but I'll still ignore this point. These violations are drops of water in the ocean when it comes to the next point. I'm about to destroy this man's whole career. Zenyatta clearly violates the seventh fold of the path, right concentration, as he clearly has not fully detached from his environment. While he's currently disconnected from those around him as a traveling monk, he is still connected to the Shambali monastery and willing to defend it with his life.
We will find
Place of
tranquility.
reflection and learning. It saddens me that it is in danger.
Perhaps they believe we will not defend this place. But if all the rest of the world were to fall, this would be the stand I chose to make.
Detachment and letting go of sentimental value to places and things is literally what we Westerners think Buddhism is all about. Ask anyone on the street what the main goal of Buddhism is, and that's probably what they would tell you. And Zenyatta, this fraudulent little omnic, has not even completed this step. How could he possibly be enlightened and have access to the iris while not even passing step 1 to being free from his attachments to this mortal plane? Bro is going to be stuck in the prison of samsara forever. So how does this fraud Zenyatta have access to the iris if he's not enlightened? Well, the answer is obvious. The iris is not real. And not in the same way that the King of England isn't real. I mean that the iris is manufactured. This is seen in Zen's spawn room interaction with Sigma.
Oh, does this omnic defy gravity? No repulsors are to be detected.
I owe my gifts to the iris.
Oh, the iris, of course. We've met.
How fortunate for you.
Sigma is a scientist, and scientifically, he would tell you that you should like this video and hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video, because it's free and you can always change your mind later. But anyway, he is not a monk. How would he know about the iris? And Zenyatta seems shook up by this. Now, fortunately for Zenyatta, Sigma is literally insane and has no chance of leaking this secret, but I will. The iris has nothing to do with monkhood, nothing to do with the Shambali faith. No, it's a piece of technology. This is why we only ever see omnics have the ability to use it. These monks preach the equality of humans and omnics, when the reality is that humans never had the chance to harness the power of the iris like we see Zenyatta do with his ultimate, making Zenyatta not only a fraud, but a hypocrite. Zenyatta even tells Mercy in another interaction that his healing is just a science that she does not understand.
I refuse to believe that your healing is magical.
What seems like magic is sometimes science we don't yet understand.
Exactly! I must learn how it works.
This guy is a fraud and he knows it. Yet he maintains this facade, baiting in humans like Symmetra to his cause who have no chance of ever reaching his enhanced level of power, and that's by design. Zenyatta is grifting off of his faith, off the hard work of Mandata. Zenyatta is scared of action, scared to follow in his brother Ramadra's footsteps, and too cowardly to admit to the world that he is not spiritually enlightened like Mandata was. So he hides it, using his machine powers to convince others of his abilities and reach high status in the world of Overwatch. Disgusting. But you know what? I could forgive him under one condition. Another thing that anyone could tell you about Buddhists is that they are wise. Spending so much time meditating will do that for you. It seems like Buddhists always have an elegant way of putting things. So let's see some famous Zenyatta quotes.
Do I think? Does a submarine swim? I dreamt I was a butterfly. It takes 2 hands to clap. Can I interest you in a snowball fight? If you do not change direction, you may end up where you're headed.
On a side note, when I was 11, I tried saying that last line to my mom to make it seem like I was smart, and she looked me dead in the eyes and said, yeah, no shit. I'm not gonna lie, Zen does have some wise cracks, but these voice lines show that a lot of the time, he's just yapping. Does he even know what he's trying to say? I don't think so. Fraudulent monk, fake wise, get out of my face, Zenyatta. For a character whose story is clearly based on the Buddha, with representations of the Eightfold Path strewn across his body and literally hard-coded into his systems, leading a similar life of traveling the world to help others, taking in others to teach them, Zenyatta sure does violate a lot of the rules of Buddhism. Too many to reach enlightenment, and far too many to wield what is clearly the most powerful ability of a Shambali monk, transcendence. Zenyatta is a technology merchant, using enhancements to his previously weak body to wield destructive and great healing power. Zenyatta wouldn't last in the more physical era of the 90s, whereas Ramatra would dominate. Zenyatta is not a leader. He is a follower of a dangerous movement that I don't think he grasps the true scope of. Mondatta was a benevolent leader, one who preached peace at all costs, who was cut down before he could have a real impact on the world. He was not a fraud. Ramatra saw that happen and took matters into his own hands, leading a violent rebellion against people who oppressed the Omnics, trying to establish Omnics as equal through force. Ramatra is not a fraud, but Zenyatta is too scared to side with Ramatra and too cowardly to be in the spotlight like Mondatta, too reliant on his cybernetic enhancements to even be seen as legitimate by other Omnics, and too weak to even be seen as a leader. Zenyatta, my brother, you are a fraud who rode Mondatta's coattails to the top and who is now directionless and powerless. Truly, you are the greatest fraud in Overwatch.
Yes. No, you're going don't get me. See, you don't know.
Monk hood.
You just got caught. It's official.
If you made it this far in the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and consider becoming a member for $5 a month to help support me to make more videos. Thank you all for 1,000 subscribers. That was my goal for the year, and hitting it in January is just crazy to me. If you guys enjoyed this style of video, leave some more ideas for what I could investigate next, as I would love to make this a series.